Hey everyone, welcome to day 3 of the AI Summit Agentic Distribution Fireside session. Thrilled to kick it off with Latané Conant today. Now, I will tell you, I would not dare try to introduce Latané. I'm going to ask her to do that herself. But since she's modest, she is the co-host with Matt Hines, of course, of CMO Coffee Talk. That occurs twice on Fridays, and notably, so much energy during those calls. I'm sure she's going to bring it today. Chief Market Officer at Sixth Sense, and of course, the author. You can't see it. What a shame of, oh, there it is. No forums, no spam, no cold calls. I'm thrilled to be with her today. Latane, do you want to tell us anything that I didn't cover about yourself?
Uh, Allison, you and I have seen some things.
Indeed, we have.
That's why I'm so excited. And I think it's so like fitting that it's the two of us because, you've been covering AI forever. And you've been on the forefront of AI and taught me so much about it. And especially when I first got to Sixth Sense. And we've always been AI. Maybe it's considered old AI, but I don't want to consider us old.
Not
Um,
ready.
I'm not ready for that.
Not
Like
ready.
we're reinventing ourselves with new AI, and so I think we can talk about the merging of both of those. But yeah, for those of you who don't know me, Latané Conant, I've been the chief market officer of Six and 7 years. Um, we've I've seen some things like without, like Allison said, very small company to the company it is today, which has been an amazing journey. Before that, um, CMO and GM at a company called Aperio, which was incubated in Salesforce's office. And I don't know, I got two boys. One I just took to college, and one leaves in a year. So time flies when you're having fun.
That's incredible. That is incredible. So Latane and I met when I was at Forrester. It was 2018 when you joined, and we talked a whole lot about ABM and predictive, and of course, that has all evolved into AI. So, really nice to reconnect with you again. I will say quickly, small, short introduction. I've been in this conference for the last couple of days, been to the last one as well. And there's one thing that I feel like it's helpful to calibrate what we're solving for because AI is awesome. We're going to say we're the classics, right? We're not the old, we're just the classics, classically been involved. You and I are the classics. And what I keep hearing, as fun as the tech is to talk about, and we're totally going to get into it because you guys are drinking your own champagne and it's very exciting, is where we're a little stuck and the problem we're solving for. Let's see if we calibrate on this at the beginning, is our inability as marketers and sellers to respond meaningfully to whatever we're going to call it today, buyer signals, buyer insights, buyer behavior, breadcrumbs, whatever term you like. But people tell us stuff by their actions. And we have tried lots of things to dynamically, not only dynamically, but more importantly, meaningfully respond. And I have a quote from you that I'm going to share, and you're going to feel like you're in a Senate hearing for a second, but it's all good. Because I want people to understand what we mean by respond meaningfully. I want to make sure you agree with what I mean, which is from a quote from you. And then I just want to kind of set the stage that way. Is that okay if I do that?
Yeah,
To
let's go.
quote you just extensively. So we're going to get on all the fun things that you guys are doing, but this is what I think is a real North Star. And I'm reading from a piece of paper. I don't want to, but her quote is long and I couldn't memorize it. You said, in a world of cluttered inboxes, organizations need to be more personalized to stand out. Absolutely. Everybody's going to agree with that. The next thing you said was way less obvious, and I think deserves a little attention today to kind of set the stage. You said, when most people hear personalization, they think about knowing someone's industry or some other fact attribute. So, for instance, in the last week, I got an email that was in the Boston accent. It was written with all H's instead of R's. And maybe it's charming, maybe it isn't. It didn't shake my tree, but whatever. Um, or a particular baseball team, right? That's what you said. And you said, again, Senate hearing, that's not really meaningful. That in fact, context is more meaningful than personalization. And I thought, to set the context for today, could you say just a little bit more about context over personalization and just the problem that we're really solving for when we think about agents, and dynamism?
Yeah, so first of all, we're not buying a canoe or, a raft, or I don't know why I'm in this state, or a fleece vest, right? We're buying something to help us at our job. And so I think I think sometimes, like, hey, so you live in Chicago, you like the Cubs, like, A, just because I live in Chicago doesn't mean I like sports balls.
Hmm.
And B, like, I got a lot of stuff to do.
Yep.
So if you want to break through, you're adding value to me and in the things that I'm trying to do. So I think there's like some rules that I think about from a context perspective. I think understanding the type of account I am is table stakes, right? So I'm high growth tech of a certain size, and then, what am I trying to do? So think about my persona. These are things you need to know. What do CMOs typically care about in that industry? Da 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 da. But what's more important, I think, is some of the behavioral signal that I put off. So am I really in market? Am I really looking for what you do? Because if I am, then, talk about the competitive landscape, talk about how you differentiate. Or am I like completely under a rock and I have no idea and I don't even know I have a problem? Then send me your research, like help me understand why this is a problem. Like, I love rational drowning. Like give me the stats and figures to help me confidently do my job and address problems before I see it. Um, and so I think that's just like, kind of the basics is yes, you need to know about my account, you need to know about my persona, but then, truly what is my behavior saying? Um, and so I love being able to understand buying stage and being able to contextualize by buying stage. But then there's even more nuanced signals like, am I hiring people to solve, make the leap? Why am I hiring people? What challenge do I have? The opposite's true. Am I laying people off? What challenges would that create or indicate? Did I just change jobs? Did I just fundraise? What am I talking about on podcasts, etc.? Like these things are kind of helpful to know, and they're the business context that I think we want to provide because we're in a B2B environment. So help people do their jobs, help them be more confident about doing their jobs, and I think that's what stands out.
Excellent. And it is a far cry from Dear First Name, right? It is really a different story and a different game.
I got Dear Beck recently. Beck is my maiden name. I'm like, oh, cool. Somehow
Oh,
you weirdly know my maiden name. Awesome.
yeah. I don't know your maiden name.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's
who you went to college with me? Like, I don't know.
That's really funny. That's almost advanced in that it's like, where did you find that? And
Yeah,
yeah,
weird.
memorable but non-contextual, and you don't care, and it's just not going to make anything move for you. I said what we would talk about what Sixth Sense is doing, and I absolutely meant it. But since we go back a little bit, when I was covering Sixth Sense as an analyst around 2018, I remember talking to you and talking to customers about how they would learn something, an intent signal, and further down the line, a salesperson or two might say, "Hey guys, I got this. I think I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a really long time. Me versus the machine. I win every time. I went to Pinnacle. I'm amazing." And I hope we've worked through some of that. But now, and I don't want to give anything away or take any thunder from you, but Sixth Sense really moves into execution at this point. So it is not just here's a signal, here's a recommendation, it's go. And I just wonder, because I think there's a lot of folks on this conference who are tech forward and maybe seeing some internal inertia, right? When they go and say, hey guys, we could be doing this better, let's buy this thing. How are people reacting these days? Is it better or worse? Or if you could talk about the change management as people speak to reps from Sixth Sense, your digital selling tools, and how are there objections to that? Are we still looking at some Luddites out there? And how are people dealing with it in their own organizations?
So it's interesting. I feel like the first chapter of Sixth Sense was like, oh my gosh, this information exists. There's this thing called intent data. You can know who's on your like it was like mind
Yeah.
blown. And we blew a bunch of minds and that was great. And some people really got it and used it and set it up right. and we're off to the races. And then there's kind of this other, the people somewhat left behind.
Sure.
And I think the folks that got left behind, it's a couple things. Humans are biased to negative.
Hmm.
So, and when you think about predictive intelligence, it's just math.
Yeah.
And so now, what we're doing is we're actually orchestrating a lot further. We're orchestrating what to actually do with that intent signal. So if it's an early stage account, here's what we go and do. If it's late stage, here's what we go and do. And again, because we have all that context that I talked about, buying stage, signal, persona, etc., we can construct in real time like the right journey.
Hmm.
And the difference is, again, we're not biased to negative from a orchestration and using the agents to do a lot of the outreach. So they're going to, just follow the math and follow the prediction in the prescribed manner. The other thing is like the personalization, contextualization, whatever we want to call it, is good every time.
Yeah.
It's not great every time. Like that, I think that's the difference between a human. Like humans can be great, I think better than the AI if done correctly, but humans don't always execute great every single time.
Hmm.
Right? So if you think about
Yeah.
a sales team or a BDR team, you've got the 10% that are just freaking fantastic. And then you got some that like, oh God, I've seen some things like what was that email, right? So, but consistently we can be good with AI and AI emails and agents. Um, we can be multi-channel every time,
Hmm.
which again, when you think
Yes.
about, sales prospecting may or may not be multi-channel, but we can make sure we're multi-channel every time. We can be timely every time. So, when you think about an intent signal, I used to call them revenue moments. And the reason I did that was because I would get so frustrated. Like, it's not a revenue year. It's not a revenue week. It's not a revenue day. It's a moment. Like, you need to follow up in the moment. And,
Yeah.
there's a study that says that if you don't respond to an inbound, which is like kind of an amazing signal, within 5 minutes, your conversion rates go down 21%, 21 times. Like,
Hmm.
ouch.
Hmm.
Right. And so the other thing with the agents and the workflow around the agents is we can do it in real time every time.
Yeah.
And then we can also be respectfully persistent every time. And so this sort of eliminates some of the, oh yeah, I saw the prediction and I sent one email that was okay and it didn't work. Or,
Mhm.
I
Yeah. And
I
I sent it 4 days after it happened.
Exactly, exactly. So it's kind of like controlling that destiny, and making sure that we're consistently following up on the signals and the intent and the predictive scores.
Excellent. I mean, if anything, speed matters, right? And I think that you said something that make people go just a little bit, which is that the humans are great at this, but we're inconsistent, and we can only do it so many times,
Right.
and we certainly can't get to everyone 5 minutes after. So I think that everyone on this call is, I think just really eager to explore these things. And what I just imagine as someone who experienced it is being that person in organization saying, but this is out there. Like let's do it. And then, just needing some change management, and just wondered if you see that same thing. But um sounds like we've matured a bit since 2018 in the market. So I'm thrilled to hear that that buyers are more ready for it. You mentioned orchestration. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to talk about the orchestration next because it's only
Yeah.
recently really. Like it's Gen AI and the email agents that we talked about. Um, but it's also this orchestration product that are pretty darn recent,
Yeah.
to kind of start this next act that I'm really excited about.
I remember being in, I'm only saying this because it's you, but being in a conference room in San Francisco with Amanda Kalo and saying, just mapping out a campaign as an example for fun, talking about what Sixth Sense does and thinking it is factorial, right? Like the word that came to me was factorial, the idea of, I'll say managing because we'll pause on the word orchestration until we get there and use it with a capital O, but thinking through the the content, the channels, the experiences, reacting to the signals, and just how dynamic that needs to be to respond to a buyer in a meaningful way and sort of respond to opportunity. So back to buyer experience. But I've been a demand gen person as you have as well, needless to say, or the person basically who goes into the room and someone says, what happened this quarter and where are we, right? However you want to describe that person. So orchestration is, gosh, it scares us a little, right? The opportunity is amazing. And it's also, yeah, well, I have the disparate tools. I have these crazy lists. I have this factorial opportunity for content, buying stages, product types, buying signals, all of this stuff. So I'm a sucker for the term. And I know that AI is the answer. I know it. And there's real power behind it. And I'm wondering how your customers are paying off that term. And again, I mentioned you guys drinking your own champagne, how you are, how your customers are. I really want to give you an opportunity to tell people what they need to know about how this is working out there and what successes they're having. I saw a few case studies that, if you want to talk about those, that's great. But I think everyone wants to say, bring this to life for me, Latane. Tell me what's going on.
So a couple things. One, let's think about why it's hard. Um,
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's hard because your segments are all over the place or your audiences are all over the place. So in every system, you're creating a different audience. Some are account audiences, some are buying groups, some are people, and those are a mess and all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Second of all, your channels are all over the place. So you got Sendoso over here, you got Sales Loft, you've got your website, you got, different ad channels and digital channels and they're all over the place. And you're trying to figure out like how do I get from point A to point B? And the word dynamic you talked about was really important because I don't want to just put these people on a nurture to nowhere. And so what we've done is we've brought those things together. So there's one place to create all of your segments. So accounts, buying groups, people, um, in one place, and all those segments are dynamic. So again, as signals are changing, changing, people are going in and out of relevant segments. So that's kind of step one. We've been doing that a while. But then the second thing that we had to do is we had to be able to bring the channels together. So how do we create what we call them nodes? So how do we bring all of these different nodes together in one place? So you can say, hey, cue the mug from Sendoso, or, let's make sure we are advertising on LinkedIn, based on this, that, and the other. So how do we bring those channels together? And again, as accounts, people, buying groups are moving in and out, maybe they're getting LinkedIn one day and the mug the next, depending on how their behavior is reacting and changing. So that was kind of a pretty profound like step two. And then the third factor in that is like, okay, great. We want to be able to contextualize, personalize, whatever we call that. And so what we've done there is we've added this like agentic email product on, which again in real time is constructing and hyper personalizing the email, sending the email, following up. And email is not that revolutionary. It is the primary language of B2B still. It's not Snapchat yet.
It's a classic. It's
Not
classic.
not to say that it can't be.
Yeah.
But step one to me is segments, channels, and then this kind of like ability to construct the email on the fly, read, write, respond, and get all the way from a signal to a meeting in
Mm-hmm.
minutes. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. And that's
Yeah.
happening today. And
If you
and
don't mind me just popping in for a second, I mean, that is buyer in charge, right? Like that is a description of being responsive, right? In a timely way for a buyer. And again, I just want to, that's what I've heard for the last 3 days is just how do we do that? That is the issue, just not being responsive, timely, all of that, but in a meaningful way that counts for the person on the other side. So please continue. I just think that's really what I've heard for 2 days. So I want to.
yeah, and I feel like Gen AI, it's cool, right? And we're doing a lot of cool things and we're saving time here, there, and everywhere. But I have this fear because I think the expectation is going to come very soon, sooner than we like, that our marketing orgs are 30% more efficient. And that's the pound of flesh,
30% smaller,
probably.
right?
I don't want to,
Expectation wise. Yeah, right, right.
you
Me
know,
either. Yeah.
I hope that we can say 30% more output.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's my hope, is that it's 30% more output, and that's how we are measuring. Efficiency can be measured lots of ways, but you know, I'm going to have to stand up in front of, some people and say, we're 30% more efficient, and this is how and why and exactly what's happened. And I'm worried that saying, oh, well, now we can submit an award in 2 minutes less than we did before. And, now we've got this, automation that goes out and does this, that, and the other, and we've saved, 5 minutes for this person. Or, we can produce content, at better scale. I feel like those are crumbs, and we're
Yeah.
sort of hoping that crumbs make a cake. And so my whole thing is like, I'm going to be able to deliver a cake. And so that's that signal to meeting in minutes that I'm talking about, because once you start to do that, then the efficiency is in your conversions. The efficiency is in like the penetration of your ICP. It's pipeline created per dollar. It's
Yeah.
pipeline created per marketing headcount. So then we can get away from
Yeah.
what you said of efficiency, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can reorient onto like, some other things. And so right now, currently 25% of my pipeline is created autonomously. And so think about the self-driving car. It's like this self-driving pipeline. And it's not the most like crazy stuff. It's stuff that
Mhm.
anybody, I think, could do. It's 4 plays. One play is we call Awaken the Dead. So, typically people open a couple opportunities with 6 cents before it's like the opportunity that goes. It's 4 times
Mhm.
we typically open an
Mhm.
opportunity. And so I need to make sure that we're consistently going back to people that talked to us, months ago, and be like, hey, remember us? We talked, let's go. Maybe this is the one that goes. But having a past open opportunity with us is a signal. And so now we have an agent that consistently goes back and reopens up opportunities. So we call that Awaken the Dead. That's the first play.
Mhm.
Second play is, the ideal customer for us, or ideal account for us, is on the website.
Mhm.
We paid a lot of money to get people onto that website. Ads, content,
Mhm.
training the
Mhm.
large language model, like you name it. Like the whole game is getting people to the website, and it's getting harder and harder. So when they're there, like,
Yep.
let's make sure we do the right thing. And so we can de-anonymize the account. We can, enrich the buying team, and we can, again, put our agent on that follow-up. So that's play two. Play three is job change. Like if a CMO
Mm.
was
Big
brought,
one.
if a CMO has brought us in once, they're 90% more likely to bring us in again, within the first 3 to 4 months of being the CMO at a company. So like,
Yep.
let's get on it. And then the last one is just some of the early stage nurtures that we do. We've reimagined them to be more peer-to-peer, more buying group oriented, with our agents. And so those are the 4 plays that generate, that go from signal to meeting in minutes for us, and are just always on, kind of doing some hard work. And so again, to me, I'm like, okay, now I can deliver a cake. Like now I can start to see like those efficiency metrics that are not just I let go of
Yep.
a bunch of people, which I
Yep.
don't want to do at all.
Sure.
Uh,
That's right.
and so that's how
Uh,
I'm thinking about it.
yeah. I admire that, and I think everyone on the call does too, and really can take just an enormous signal from you with the language of change the narrative, right? I mean, you really do still, in my opinion, you do still have the opportunity as CMO, Chief Market Officer, Chief Revenue Officer, to design the narrative, right? Like we are up against those expectations, no question about it, but we're not. We are still in some time frame. I won't venture a guess on what it is to determine and start training those folks in that room, that you will see what efficiency looks like and what we're really going for, which doesn't mean some things, but absolutely does mean you get to design the cake. That's all. It's fabulous. And I think the 4 plays you listed are really helpful for folks too. We're 4 minutes to the hour. And I wondered if you would like to share the best buyer experience that you've had in the last few years, or take the opportunity to answer any old question that you want with our 4 minutes.
So I
Let
thought
people
about this, and
tell them what they need to know.
I've thought about this. I realized I don't buy a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I buy a lot of like clothes and fun stuff like
Consumer.
that.
Yeah.
But I do have an interesting buyer experience. And I
Okay.
think that this is relevant because um, we're talking about using Gen AI to market and sell, but people are going to use Gen AI to buy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so this is an example where my son, again, was deciding on what college to go to. And I knew what college he should go to. But he's not going to listen to mom. That's not going to work. So we actually built like a little digital twin for him. And then we built a college like selection agent. And we went back and forth with like the choices and the different schools and like the pros and cons. And we literally like talked to the AI to help him make his college decision. And so that was pretty interesting. Then we took it further. So he decided he's at Indiana, Kelly School of Business. Yay, go Catesby. Um, then it's like, okay, now we got to get ready to go to school. And so we got to buy all this stuff. Now, luckily, the girls in their dorm rooms are way, way, way more into it than the boys. It's way more basic. But I just said, hey, he's going to IU. This is the structure of the dorm room. Like, what does a typical college kid need? What's the list of crap we got to buy?
Yeah. Yeah.
And take up there to move in. Boom, 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 boom. All Gen AI. So that was good. Now, the only fail in the whole thing, and this is funny, y'all think this is funny. So my husband's like a real techie nerd. Like he bought Google glasses and wore them for like 2 days until I told him he had to stop. Like he's like that guy.
Mm-hmm. It's nice he has you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, come on. So
Yeah.
so I told him he needed to call the loft company and like get the loft thing installed. And he used Gen AI and asked, what dorm room Catesby's in. Well, how the hell is it going to know that? Like this is
Mhm.
silly, but whatever. He did, and it hallucinated and said he's in Briscoe, blah 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 blah, and made up a dorm room. So my husband ordered the loft to some random kid's dorm room.
That really happened.
Yes, yes. So some kid, I love you. Cheers. Clap.
Wow. Congrats, kid. Enjoy that. That's
So
fun.
anyway, a lot of great things about it, but also it can't do everything. You
That's
still
right.
need to
Yeah.
know your son's dorm room before you order the
Mhm. Still some human knowledge necessary.
Yeah.
So cool. So good to see you, Latane.
Awesome to see you too, Allison. I don't want to stand in the way of the next session, which I think is Tim, who I have had the chance to hear a couple times. So everyone's in for a treat.
Thank you so much, Latane and Allison. Phenomenal session. How the community can best support you.
Reach out on LinkedIn. Let's get to know each other.
Amazing. Allison, how about you?
Well, I've just started just for about 6 months, an advisory company called Slacia Go to Market. I have a new LinkedIn. I've got single digit followers. Go ahead and give me some love there. I would appreciate it. So I will stop talking to the void. You guys can join me there. That would be appreciated. Thank you, Julia, as always. Thank you, HSE.
Thank you so much.